Hello everyone. So I want to show you something very annoying about the Emperor patch. This is the Bornholm campaign, which I showed you earlier. Bornholm, of course, does not own Bornholm, which is, the joke. If you don't get it, you just shouldn't ask. Anyway, so I'm ready to revoke the privileges and make the whole HRE my vassal. But they've made the HRE interface worse. I'm going to do a video, probably a full video just on the HRE interface and why it's now worse, as well as a review of Emperor. I want to play a game to 1821 before I do the review and the Emperor video. I might make a video, I might make like an infographic showing why it's worse. I've started making that already. Sorry about the car noises, it's roasting in here, so I have the door open. But anyway, so I've saved and I've backed up my save so I can demonstrate this. In the old days, if you hovered over this, it would tell you who was voting for it and who was voting against it. And then you could know who would become your vassals and who would not. Now, it doesn't say that anymore for no reason, which is just a strict downgrade of the utility of this interface, which is very annoying. So if I press this button, it says, enacting all local authority, all members of the Holy Roman Empire will become our direct vassals or leave the Empire. But it doesn't tell you which is which. In order to tell which is which, you have to hover over all of these princes and read this tooltip. This tooltip is also bugged, by the way. It shouldn't be showing all of these. It should only be showing two. Western and Revoke the Privilege, are the only two it should be showing here. But it still shows all the ones you've already passed, which is bizarre. But anyway, so I have to scroll through this list of 52 princes and see how each of them will vote in order to determine if any of them will vote against me. Like this. And I think it's looking like pretty much all of them are backing me. But if I were to guess, where's Florence? I bet Tuscany, rather, yeah. Tuscany is voting against. And the only way I could know that is by going through one by one and then improving relations with them. And the only way I can know if they've started backing the reform is by hovering over them again here. Of course, it gets worse because you also have to do the 12 imperial free cities, which it looks like are all backing. Yep, but the only way I could know that was by doing that check. And then you have the electors. Tell me, dear viewer, is Bosnia backing the selection? Bosnia is a Protestant elector, of course. Why would you expect them to be anything else? But Bosnia, is Bosnia backing this reform? I don't know. And there's literally no way to know. I would have to work out, based on these modifiers, I'm pointing at my screen as if you can see that, but I'd have to work out what these modifiers are for Bosnia, and then determine whether they're voting for it. They almost certainly would be, but let's say Bohemia was an elector and hated you, which is extremely common if you're playing as anyone other than Austria, because obviously for Austria they're a personal union partner. But Bohemia tends to hate the Emperor for various reasons. So maybe Bohemia is one of your electors and they detest you. Well, are they voting for you? I don't know. Because they don't appear in the princes list. And there isn't a electors list which can give you this tooltip here. Because when you hover here, it gives you the tooltip for elections. Even when there are no elections. Obviously, this tooltip changes dynamically based on whether or not you have proclaimed this one and making it so that this HRE is always inherited by the same person, right? Once you've done this, the tooltip dynamically changes to there are no elections, the imperial title is hereditary. Obviously, I dare say, what this should show is this tooltip, because the only context in which this tooltip is really important for an elector, obviously it's important in other situations because you want to know if your electors are backing your earlier reforms, but the time it's really important is when you want to revoke the privilege year, by which point you no longer need to know how they're voting. So obviously this tooltip should be replaced by this dynamic tooltip, which interacts based on their attitude to the reform. So that is one of the ways in which the HRE interface is strictly worse. So when I press this button, and I demand oaths of loyalty. First off, you lose your union with Austria, which I don't like. I had a union over Austria, by the way. And you get Provence and Tuscany have both left the empire. So now I have claims on their lands instead. Wait, Provence? Provence wasn't in the empire. Does Provence even exist? Ah, yes, down here. Okay, Provence's capital used to be over here. I see why. They got forced into the empire because we just took their capital at a war. But yeah, anyway, so I get all these vassals, but I am left annoyed because I would have had to check 64 tooltips in order to know that Tuscany was the one that was going to vote against me. And it's very plausible others could have voted against me. Ingolstadt doesn't like me, Frankfurt doesn't like me, I recently beat them up. And of course, Provence. And that is a bad and a strict downgrade of an upgrade in an update that was meant to. It's the Emperor update, and the Holy Roman Empire has a worse interface, and that is frustrating. And I hope they change it. All they need to do is make it so that the tooltips on these are the same as they were before. They were better before. There is a second reason why they are worse, which I cannot now very easily demonstrate. But so to pass Revento Imperii, you need 50 imperial authority to be at peace, to have the backing of the electors, and not to be in the religious war. Those are the 4 things you need to pass it. Try and get those in camera. You need 4 things to pass it. In the olden days, I think it would show you any one of the. I think it would show you all of those 4. Is that true? It would at least show you who was voting for it at all times. Whereas right now, I can't. So let's say it's the second reform you're trying to pass, and you have 25 imperial authority. You're kidding. Wait, what? The tooltip works, but only for the second reform? I give up. Why? This is the tooltip I was talking about that used to be on all the reforms, including ones you're about to pass. It shows you who is for it, in this case everyone, and it also shows you how many are against it. I can't believe I didn't notice that. It works, but only on the second. Why? Why? Anyway, I mean, yeah, the HRE interface is worse, and if you have 25% of 25 imperial authority, you can't see whether you have support in the Diet to pass a reform, because this tooltip apparently only exists for the second one and only after you've passed it, which is bizarre. But yeah, I do not like having to go through tooltips. In my first Austria campaign, I had to go through about 112 tooltips, because that was how many princes I had, in order to assure that all of them were going to go into the Empire, which is not good. And when you have 25 imperial authority, you can't even see if you have quorum, if you have the numbers needed to pass the reform, let alone know who specifically is backing it. Because this number that it shows right here on that tooltip, you need at least 50 imperial authority, you only have 0, only shows one problem at a time. It should show all of the reasons why you can't pass it, not just one of them. Then you can see you need at least 50 imperial authority, and you need the support of the majority of the princes, and you currently have X and you currently have Y against, and here is the images and the names of those nations, so you know who to improve relations with. That is the. It's what I don't think it's asking for very much to say don't make the interface actively worse than it was last patch. These are features that we had last patch that are now worse. All for the benefit of being able to fit this extra section onto the interface. Do you know where you could have put this extra section? Here. Because this space and this space are functionally useless. There is no one, there might be some people, but there are incredibly few people who are going to be like, oh yeah, let's get the Imperial interface up. Which you can't move for no reason, by the way. But let's get the Imperial interface up, and then let's play the game over here. Yeah, okay, let's do some sieges, move our troops back. Cool. No one does this. You open the Imperial interface when you want to look at the Imperial interface, make it this big, and put loads more information on it. There's absolutely no reason to make it this small. Anyway, some people play on 480p monitors, Christo. Yes, but like no one. And they don't support Mac properly, so why do they have to support 480p monitors? Anyway, this is my ramble. I'm not going to add facecam to normal videos as standard, but I am going to add it when I ramble, so you can see my pain. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.